Hello and welcome back to the Analyst by Vajiram and Ravi dated 11th January 2025. Today again we will be discussing some important topics that has appeared in today's The Hindu and The Indian Express newspapers which are very relevant for your exam. In our first topic, we'll look into various aspects of local self-governments in India, the related constitutional provisions and some possible issues which are plaguing the grassroots democracy in India and the way forward. In our second topic, we'll look into the state of healthcare sector in India, the challenges related to it and the way forward. Then in our simplified section, we'll take up 5 articles and we will try to explain them in simplest language possible to enrich your understanding of the newspapers. Additionally, we have also incorporated some prelims pointers which is going to be very important for your upcoming prelims 2025 exam. So have a look on them also and stay tuned. So first topic is local self-governments. The context of this topic is that there has been delay in conducting local body elections in Tamil Nadu. And because of this delay which is happening in conducting the elections, the terms of the already functioning local bodies came to an end, and now there has been special officers who has been appointed by the state government to look up to the functions of these local bodies. And why this delay has happened? As per the state government's affidavit that they filed in the Madras High Court, they said that there has been delay in the process of delimitation of the constituencies. Also, the government is also thinking to do various other things like that they want to merge some of the areas in some of the municipal corporations. That's why there has been delay in the elections, and after this completion of process of delimitation, the election will happen. So what actually delimitation means? Delimitation can be defined as the process of redrawing of the electoral constituencies. And why this is done? To ensure roughly equal number of people are representing each constituency so that a fair representation can happen. At the national level also, for the Lok Sabha elections, we have the delimitation which happens. For the state legislative assemblies also, the delimitation happens. And there was also a question that was asked in the 2024 prelims examination that till 2023, how many times delimitation commission has been formed? Please tell me the answer of this question in the comment box. This particular topic pertains to syllabus of GS paper 2, Panchayats, local self-government. There has been a significant case in the Supreme Court with the name Suresh Mahajan versus State of Madhya Pradesh. In that particular case, Supreme Court said that there should be a dedicated commission or body which should look up to the functions of delimitation at the local levels. Also, this should not be the reason for the delay in the elections, that delimitation was not didn't happen, and that is why there has been delay in the election. This delimitation should be done in advance so that elections can be conducted on time. This particular topic is very important for your examination because of the fact that you can see that in the mains examination there has been various instances in last 10 years that you got the question from this topic, that is local self-government. That also emphasizes on the importance of this point. And this delay in elections is not only limited to any one particular state, but in past few years what we have seen that there has increased tendency of delay in the elections. So what does the local self-governments actually wants? They want to promote the grassroots level democracy. And how that happens? It happens by the designing of the political processes that shift as much as decision-making authority as practical to the organization's lowest geographic or social level of organization. Why it is said as practical as possible? For example, to look up to the borders of India, that is one of the such function that cannot be devolved to the local levels because they do not have that resources, they do not have that capability to fulfill that. That is why they will be devolved as much as functions which is practical, and that will be devolved at the lowest level of geographic or social level of organization. For example, Gram Sabha or the municipalities that are there, or the wards are there in the municipalities. And earlier, after the independence in year 1950, there has been one or other form of local government in different states. There was no clear-cut institutional framework. But this particular local self-government was institutionalized by this 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment that came in year 1993. Now you people tell me in the comment box that who was the Prime Minister of India when this constitutional amendment came. And why I am asking this question is because of the fact that UPSC in one of its prelims examination previously asked that who was the Prime Minister of India when First Amendment Act was passed. So whatever the significant amendment that happened in the constitution in past, there might be a question from that particular topic that who was the Prime Minister of India at that point of the amendment of the constitution. After this amendment, the panchayat got the constitutional status, whereas earlier the panchayat was as a subject in the state list, and the states have the one or the another form of the local level framework or the local self-government frameworks. After this amendment came, it institutionalized the three-tier system at village level, block level and district level. The amendment also stipulated that all the panchayat member will be elected for 5-year term in elections which will be supervised by the state election commissions. There will be state elections commission which will be formed, and it has been provided under the article 243Z read with 243ZA. Actually it is 243K, which is read with 243ZA. And it also provided for reservation for women, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, and the reservation for women should not be less than 33% at all levels, and compulsory election for every 5 years. We'll also look into the compulsory provisions and the voluntary provisions which has been provided under the act, because that is one area from which you can expect one potential question in the prelims examination. Also, it provided for various subjects to levy, collect and appropriate taxes, duties, tolls and fees. Also, it provided for preparation for plan, that is for the economic development of the region and to ensure the social justice, that everyone is getting fair share, every welfare of everyone is looked upon. All that is provided by the amendment. But before looking into the voluntary provisions and the compulsory provisions, what has been the history? There has been various committees that has been formed by the government to look up to the framework of the panchayats, that what should be the actual framework. First committee, that was in year 1957, Balwant Rai Mehta committee, which actually provided for, or which actually called for, a three-tier panchayati raj system, that is Gram Panchayat at village level, Panchayat Samiti at block level and Jila Parishad at district level. Whereas Ashok Mehta committee, which came in 1977, it provided for a two-tier panchayati raj system, which was not the case with the Balwant Rai Mehta committee. Then we have the G.V.K. Rao committee, which came in 1985. The regular elections to Panchayati Raj institutions were called by this particular committee. They have recommended, they said there should be a regular election that should happen. Then we have the L.M. Singhvi committee, which came in 1986, which provided for regular, free, fair elections of the Panchayati Raj institutions, establishment of Nyay Panchayats, and also more financial resources should be given to village panchayats so that they can provide proper local level governance. This amendment provided, as we have said, that it provided for some compulsory provisions. First, that Gram Sabha should be constituted at village or a group of village level. What constitutes the Gram Sabha, and what is the difference between Gram Sabha and Gram Panchayat? All the people who are above 18 years and whose name are there in the electoral roll of that panchayats, they are part of that Gram Sabha. And these people elect some executive members who are part of the Gram Panchayats. Okay. So the people who are elected, they are part of the Gram Panchayats, and all the people above 18 years whose name is there in the electoral roll of panchayats, they are the part of Gram Sabha. And the amendment said that this should be constituted in a village or a group of village. Also, it provided for establishment of panchayat at village, intermediate and the district level. And direct election should happen to all of this at different level. Okay. And the chairperson of the panchayats at the intermediate and the district level can be elected by the indirect elections. Okay, that has been the mandatory provision. The minimum age for contesting elections is 21 years. Any state cannot say that any person who is of 21 years old cannot contest the election, because that is mandated by the amendment. Also, the reservation for seats for scheduled caste, scheduled tribes in panchayats at all levels. Okay, and 1/3 of seats for women in panchayats to be reserved at all levels. It also fixed the tenures for 5 years, and the elections should be held for the within 6 months in any event of supersession of any panchayat. Okay. Let's suppose any panchayat couldn't complete its whole 1 year term, and it was after 1 year itself supersession happened. So elections should be conducted within 6 months, and that panchayat will complete the rest of the term. Then the establishment of state election commission, also to look up to all the functions of the elections, preparation of electoral roll, administration, superintendence of the elections at local level, that is at village level, and the municipalities. All the elections are looked after this state election commission. And it also provided for a state finance commission, which should be constituted every 5 years to review the financial position and to recommend the devolution of funds to these local level bodies. Also, it provided for some voluntary provisions, that giving representation to members of parliament, that is MPs, and the state legislatures, MLAs and the MLCs at various levels of panchayats. That is completely up to the completely up to the states, that whether they actually want to give representation to MPs, MLAs, MLCs or not. Also providing reservation of seats for the backward classes. That is again, that has been a voluntary provision that has been given a discretion to the states. Also the devolution of power and the representation, what subject will be devolved, all that has been voluntary provision. Granting financial powers to the panchayats, that what are the subjects on which they can levy the taxes and collect the taxes. That has been again a discretionary power, that subject, that what would be the subject. So what is the importance of the local self-government? First of all, it provides the foundation for the democratic structure, because people are actually taking part in the democratic process. The people who are electing, who are governing, they are being represented by the population itself. And that is the first level where people can choose their representative, who will look up to their problems, who will identify their problems and give solutions to their problem. Also, it can provide training ground for the local leadership. We have seen in various cases that the people who were earlier the Pradhan or Mukhya, or the people who were the district panchayat member, they have become the MLAs, MPs, etc. So the young generation, what we have seen that especially in the last few years, that the youth representation is very less, especially in the national elections and the state elections. So these local level elections can actually be the breeding ground for these young generations who can come and be the part of the national and the state level elections. And it can also address multiple other issues like the dynastic politics, etc. Also, the local people know their problems well and can suggest better solutions. Okay, what happens, let's suppose in the Assam or Arunachal Pradesh, the problems of the local people are altogether different as compared to the problems of the people in the Uttar Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, or any of the other states. So these local level people, local representatives will be understanding the problems very well, and they can provide better solutions. Also, they can encourage the self-help voluntary services, which can actually save expenses of the state governments, and government can reach the ordinary people. All the plans, programs, etc. can actually reach to these people with the help of the local population. For example, Manrega scheme, which is generally being implemented by the local level institutions itself. Panchayats or the Pradhan is implementing that Manrega scheme. So it has been much easier for government to ensure that the benefits of Manrega are reaching to the last mile to the actual people who are in need of that scheme, with the help of these grassroots democratic institutions. Also, it can help in lessens burden on the state and the central government to actually provide for the governance. And it also eases their burden because of these local bodies and the grassroots democratic institutions taking participation in the welfare of the people. But there has been various issues which are plaguing the local self-government institutions or panchayats. First is obviously the financial constraints, that they have very limited revenue of their own. For example, you can see as per this data from Ministry of Panchayati Raj, the revenue receipts, average revenue per panchayats was 2,117,000 per panchayats. Okay, but their own tax revenue was only 24,000. Okay, and 68,000 rupees was their own non-tax revenue, and they were mainly dependent on grants in aid from the central government and the state government. What does grant means? That it doesn't create any future liability. So what we can get from this particular data from Ministry of Panchayati Raj is that states' own tax revenue, that the sources or the subjects on which they can levy and collect taxes are very less, and they are mainly dependent on the grants of the central and state governments, which are mainly discretionary in nature. So they do not have that liberty that they can take the developmental projects. Okay, and only they are limited to providing the basic services to the people. Also, the lack of technical expertise. Okay, that they are not very well to make the economic plan which was recommended to be made by the amendment, or the local level plans, and implement them and manage the development projects, especially the bigger projects. They do not have that expertise, and obviously with the lack of technical expertise, it again becomes very difficult to ensure that the governance structure is very effective. Also, the political interference, that it has been seen especially in past few years, that they has been increasingly disempowered, and there has been lot of cases of litigation with the state government. For example, in the case of Andhra Pradesh itself, okay, the State Election Commission faced various obstacles when a ordinance hindering the panchayats elections were struck down by the Supreme Court in 2020. Apart from that, the Karnataka State Election Commission also filed one of the petition, a contempt petition, when the elections were not being conducted on time. So there has been increased cases of irregular elections, lack of regular elections, because of various litigations that is going on between in various courts of India. Also, the issues of the functionality. Okay, this is one of the case this is one of the area from which one of the question was asked in the mains examination, that earlier the issue was limited to fund, functions and the functionaries, that they didn't have proper fund. That issue is still there. They didn't have the proper functions, okay, that clear cut functions that they can actually do. Also, the lack of proper functionaries. There were irregular elections, the representatives were not there. But now another bigger issue is the issue of the functionality, that slowly and gradually more power has been devolved to them. Slowly and gradually more money is being provided, more grants are being provided to them, but still there is ineffective service delivery, and they are not addressing the local needs. Why we went for the local self-government, or why we are promoting the grassroots democracy, is because of the fact that local needs are addressed. But when these representatives, the local level representatives, are not addressing the problem, are not understanding the problem, what is the rationale or what is the benefit of electing them? So that is one of the issue of the functionality, that is ineffective service delivery, not understanding the problems of the locals, corruptions involved in that. All that is leading to issue of the functionality also. Also, other issues. For example, irregular election, which we have well talked, lack of awareness among the people, less number of the voter turnout, especially in the local level elections, the corruptions that are involved, especially in the schemes like Manrega, etc., where ghost beneficiaries are there, that people who are not located, who are not present in that particular village, still they are getting the benefits of those particular schemes. Also, the inefficient bureaucracy, the bureaucratic apathy which is there, which is not very helpful, which is not very empathetic with the local self-governance, that they are not providing them proper support wherever they are, wherever they need. All these are some of the issues that are plaguing the panchayats. Okay. One of the major case study that you can see from this particular topic is that there was a Hivre village in Ahmednagar district which actually turned itself into a prosperous village. It used funds from government schemes and it actually went for regenerating the natural forest, water and soil management, and it led to a strong, it was only possible after a strong local body and the sarpanch. This is the sarpanch of that local body. So what happened in the earlier time, a few years back, actually a few decades back, this village was facing the issues like droughts and lack of productivity in the agricultural sector. But with the empowered strong village level body, they have went for the collective actions where they have shifted to the some of the crops or the agricultural products which are more suitable according to their topography, according to their weather. For example, they have regenerated the natural forest, natural river channels, etc. They have gone for less water intensive crops, and which has actually helped in improving the productivity as of the crops, as well as also improve the earnings of the people located in this particular village. And it has been also termed by some as the village of the millionaires. Okay. And income from agriculture alone have seen a significant rise. Okay. And the fodder cultivation, etc. has also seen a significant rise. The people who were earlier in the below poverty line zone, that has actually reduced significantly. Also, it was provided a national water award by the government of India in 2007, and it is one such village which is still inspiring people as a model village, that if we'll have a strong body, that can actually help in improving the condition. Also, what are the way forward or the possible solutions that can be taken to address the underlying issues of the panchayats? First is that we need to empower the state election commissions for delimitation and the reservation. For this, we need to improve transparency and independence of the state election commissions. Then also we need to address the malpractices. For example, elections of the mayor in the Chandigarh Municipal Corporation in 2024, we have clearly seen the CCTV videos. The Supreme Court scolded the officer who was involved in that corruption. Okay. And the financial autonomy, that more and more funds can be devolved to them and their own tax revenue can be further increased with more devolution of subjects to them on which they can levy the taxes. And better revenue share with these panchayats and the municipalities can happen, especially some of the taxes that are with the central government. For example, there can be some mechanism for some sharing of the taxes like GST, etc. with the panchayats and the municipalities to ensure that effective governance can be provided. Also, the accountability mechanism for public oversight, that public is actually seeing that whether their needs are actually addressed or not. When we'll have such a mechanism, it will help in improving the accountability. Also, the capacity building of these panchayats and the municipalities, that government provide proper training and resource to the local officials so that they are capable to provide effective services to the people in need. Also, the public involvement in decision making. Okay, especially what we have seen in past few years, that there are very less meetings of the Gram Sabha, or the Gram Panchayat meeting is also not being held regularly in most of the panchayats. So in a way, that is leading to a decision making which is not very inclusive, that decisions are being taken on either by the Pradhan or by Mukhya on their own, rather than making it inclusive where everyone is giving their opinion and based on that a decision can come. So there is very important need for public involvement in decision making, especially at the local level, to ensure that grassroots level democracy is promoted. Also, institutional reforms, like we can modernize and streamline local governance structure. For example, some states are there which are which are going for the digitalization of the panchayats. Okay, that can actually help in. For example, let's suppose if you need a paper, okay, from the panchayat itself, that panchayat will be making, or let's suppose a particular tax you have to submit to the municipalities. As of now, the process is very complicated because of the less digitalization, because of lack of modernization of the facilities. So slowly and gradually that can happen, and that can actually help in easing the life of the people, and compliance of the people will also improve related to all these things. Also, one of the things you have to understand, that although the government, the Supreme Court said that there should be another commission that should look up to the function of the delimitation at the local levels, but there has been also some of the experts who are saying that as of now the delimitation is being done by the state government on their own. First of all, the involvement of state election commission should be ensured, and then slowly and gradually a different commission can be made at the state level itself that can actually go for the delimitation, and that will be the most prudent and the correct way as per the Supreme Court directions. Then we have a mains practice question which says that discuss the challenges faced by the local governments in India and suggest effective solutions to address these issues. This is a 10-marker question that you have to write in 150 words. Our second topic is system of larger Malady. The context of this topic is that a write-up has appeared discussing the need for reforms in the healthcare sector. This particular topic pertains to syllabus of your GS paper 2, health, government policies and interventions. Let's first try to understand that what this editorial which appeared in the Indian Express wanted to tell. So the context of this editorial was that Blinkit, which is one of the subsidiary of the Zomato, has launched a 10-minute ambulance service, and that is as of now in Gurgaon only. And why they have launched this? Because of the rising demand of the ambulance services, especially in the shorter span of time. So the writer of this editorial says that with the increased chronic diseases like heart attacks, etc., and the accidents that are happening, they are driving the need for emergency support measures, and that is actually leading to a high demand of medical support in a shorter span of time, and that is why these kind of services are coming. If you look into some of the data from Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, it said that in the year 2023, almost 1.73 lakh persons were there who died only due to road accidents. And that is the number which is almost equivalent to the population of the Chandigarh. 474 lives were lost daily in road crashes in 2023. Means every 3 minutes there is one person who is dying out of road accident in India as per the data of 2023. And this all data is the reported one. There is still data which is not reported. So you can think of the condition of the road accidents in India, that it is such a big thing, that it is such a big issue in India. Also, the evolving services from hospital-based NGOs, to NGO-led, government-funded, and now private sector involvement. Earlier, we have seen that the ambulance services were only being provided by some hospitals. Then some NGOs, etc., also collaborated with that particular hospitals to increase the availability of the ambulance services. In the later part, some private hospitals further supported in the availability of the ambulance services. But now we have seen that slowly and gradually private companies, dedicated companies are coming only to give the ambulance services. Earlier, government hospital, then the ambulance is there. The private hospital, then they are providing the ambulance services. NGOs have collaborated with some or other hospitals, and then they are providing the ambulance services. Now, dedicated private companies are coming. Why? Because there is less availability of the ambulances. And that is why there has been the need. Also, the focus on the patient transfer, that most of these ambulance services are actually focusing on the basic transport and not critical care. That let's suppose if there is a person who had a road accident and that accident was very severe. In that case, some critical support will be needed, oxygen support and other things. Intensive care unit may be provided in that ambulance itself, so that the life of that person can be saved. But generally what is happening in most of the ambulances, they are just transporting that patient from the road or that particular home of that patient to the ultimate hospital, and that is leading to lot of loss of life during the transportation itself. And that is the reason these private companies which are coming with these ambulance services, they are well equipped with these critical care units, and which can actually help in saving lives of various people. Also, the lack of ALS units, that small fractions of ambulance have advanced life support capabilities, and that is where these needs are being fulfilled. Urban challenges, for example, with the rapid urbanization that we have seen and the irregular urbanization that actually happened, and that is leading to traffic congestion, that there are various you can say lanes where even a small vehicle cannot go. So if there is a patient who is need of ambulance service, obviously it will be very difficult to get a proper ambulance facility at that particular place because of the congestion that is happening. And thankfully, that is one of the time when people actually gives way in the traffic, and that is the ambulance. That is we have generally seen. And it also poses a significant hurdle. Timely emergency response is also not very effective in this case because of the urban challenges which has happened because of the poor infrastructure quality, poor quality of roads that are there. Also, the private sector entity is happening, and that can actually help in improving the access. But there are concerns about the driver pressure and the cost that will be there. And there are high chances, or as of now the details are not much out, we'll have to see that whether these kind of services can be affordable, can be afforded by the middle class and the lower class also, or it will be just limited to the population who is earning very high. Also, it may create a pressure on the drivers, which is highlighted by the writer, which may create some other accidents or issues in future which needs to be addressed. Now we'll look into the healthcare sector of India. As per data from Indian Public Health Standards, okay, which is a Government of India database or survey which was done, 4 out of 5 public health centers in India are below par. They do not have proper infrastructure. They do not have proper hygiene and sanitation facilities, and the methods that they are involved, that is also not there proper. That is also not proper. Also, the availability or all the availability of the doctors are not there. So multiple issues are being faced by the primary health care centers, public health care centers. Also, the Economic Survey 2022-23 says that the government expenditure on the health is 2.1% of GDP, which is much less as compared to our neighbors. For example, Bangladesh, Pakistan are at least doing their expenditure of 3% of at least 3% of GDP on the health, whereas US is at least doing expenditure of 17% of GDP on the health itself. China is contributing almost 7% of their GDP on the health itself. So India's health expenditure is much less as compared to some of the global peers. Also, if you look into this health report card, the total public health facilities that are there, that is almost 2,988. Sub-district hospital are 1,275. The primary health care center are 31,000. And 053 are there. And this number of health facility which has been assessed under this Indian Public Health Standards, this shows that the scores they have actually gained, that it is less than 15%, okay, then it is almost 17,190 are the public health facilities which actually scored less than 50% in score in this survey which was conducted by the Government of India itself. That shows that yes, there are public health centers, but the facilities that are there, that is not very good. The availability of the various advanced life support measures, etc., that can actually help in saving the lives of the people, that is not well. So the major challenges with the health sector, first of all, the financial constraint. We have well seen that the expenditure on the health is one of the important area of concern. Also, the inadequate health infrastructure, that is the second major issue, and one of the major reason for that is the inadequate expenditure. As per this data from National Health Profile 2021, which is released by Government of India, it said that there are 0.6 beds available per 1,000 population, versus the WHO recommendation is 3.5 beds per 1,000 population. That is the minimum level that should be maintained. And that is the reason that we have seen the poor abysmal conditions in the case of COVID-19, which led to increased hospitalization. People didn't have bed, people were dying on the roads, and government has to make some makeshift hospitals that they use the train coaches, etc. Still, there were a lot of people whose life couldn't be saved because of the lack of hospital beds. If you'll see in most of the private hospitals, in most of the government hospitals, for many days, for many months, there were not any availability of the beds on these hospitals. Also, the shortage of the healthcare professionals. As of now, the reply that government gave in the Lok Sabha, there are one doctor for every 834 persons or 834 population, and the WHO recommendation is for every 1,000 person there should be at least one doctor. But here there is a catch, that government has taken all the Ayush doctors also while considering this. Also, government has considered that 80% availability would be there of doctors at their designated places. Only then they have came to this data. So as per the data of the government, that still the healthcare professionals availability has increased, but in actual sense, in practical sense, their availability is a concern, which has been highlighted by various experts. Also, the high out-of-pocket expenditure, as per this 2021-22 data of Health Ministry, it was around 64% in year 23-24, 2013-14. The actual out-of-pocket health expenditure was almost 64%, but it declined to 39.4% in 21-22. But still, it is very large, which is bringing people into the poverty. There are various issues that already these people are earning very less, and in that cases, when any of the member of the family may need much of health support, and the level of inflation that is there, especially in the healthcare industry, it is perishing, it is bringing a lot of people into the poverty. Also, the unequal access to the quality healthcare. There are various disparities in access based on the location, that the availability of the facilities in the rural areas are very poor as compared to the urban areas. There has been also disparities if you compare it with the income and the social status of the people. There are only few facilities, okay, especially let's suppose if you look into the cancer treatment or the treatment of some of the chronic diseases, some of the hospitals which are very good, their treatment can be afforded, that is affordable to only few population. Also, the prevalence of communicable and non-communicable diseases, that it is leading to high burden of infectious disease, rising incidence of the chronic diseases. Okay, on one hand we have infectious disease which is rising, for example COVID-19, HMPV virus, tuberculosis, etc. But other chronic diseases, hypertension, high blood pressure, then the heart attacks, etc. are some of the diseases which have seen an uptrend. Also, the lack of focus on the preventive care, that the focus is more on the curative care. After a person got any disease, then they are focusing that what should be done to address this particular disease, but they are not focusing on the preventive care. For example, the immunization, okay, or the health education, that if there is a person who knows that there is need for mask that should be used when there is COVID-19 prevalence, still people were not using mask properly, still people were not washing their hands properly, still people were not using the sanitizers properly. So that is the lack of health education, or you can say an attitude of negligence. In that case, obviously people will face difficulty, people will face issues. So people are not focusing on the preventive care, they are focusing on the curative care. Okay, once we'll get the disease, then we'll go for the solution, then we'll go for the treatment. And that creates a lot of issues. First of all, it impacts the immunity of that person. Second, it also takes a toll on the pocket of that particular person. So all these preventive measures like immunizations, health education, etc., these are some of lack of focus on these areas are one of the important challenges. Some of the government initiatives that government took, for example, Ayushman Bharat Yojana, which provides for the affordable and accessible health care to poor and the vulnerable families through a comprehensive health insurance scheme, that is the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, PMJ, and a network of health and wellness centers, that is HWC. Also, it provided for Ayushman Bharat Digital Health Mission, which actually called for creating health IDs of the citizens, and it will create a depository of the health IDs of the people, and it would be much easier for a seamless portability across various hospitals and the insurance companies, etc. Also, government came with this national health mission, which provided for improved rural healthcare infrastructure, strengthening the primary healthcare and reducing the maternal and the child mortality rate. So it was an overall mission, especially focusing on the rural healthcare infrastructure and the public healthcare infrastructure, and more focus was on the preventive measures. Also, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, that we have talked, that financial protection to poor and vulnerable families for secondary and tertiary care, hospitalization for chronic disease and the surgeries, etc. Also, National AIDS Control Program we had for prevention and control of spread of HIV/AIDS in India. National Tuberculosis Elimination Program to eliminate the tuberculosis in India. Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana, which actually provided for affordable generic medicines to the people without compromising on the quality. Also, the Nikshay Poshan Yojana, etc. were various measures for addressing the TB. The Indradhanush mission was there for immunization. So government has been running various programs to actually look for the various issues in the healthcare sector. But what should be done? What are the needs? First of all, we need to strengthen the primary healthcare sector, primary health cares, because these are the local level institution, that is the first point of contact between the patient and the hospitals, or the, you can say, framework of this hospitalization. And we need to improve the access, but it is not only the access but the quality of the services that are being provided. That this should not be case that they will be only treating the fever and sneezing, coughing, but even if there is a person who have some other needs, that needs to be addressed well by these primary healthcare centers properly. Also, the increased healthcare spending, the adequate funding should be provided by the central government, and the contribution should be made properly by the state governments also. Also, we need to address the human resource shortage, especially the doctor-patient ratio, although that has seen an uptrend, but the quality and the availability of the doctors at all the times is one of the major concern that needs to be addressed. And for that, more number of colleges can be opened, which government is doing right now, and the number of seats in these colleges can be also increased without compromising on the quality. Also, we need to promote the preventive care, that focus should be on the health and education wellness centers, that so that people even do not need the curative care. For example, if the person is following a proper diet, person is following the hygiene practices, person is having good food, then why will he have that disease in the first instant itself? So if there is a person who is focusing on preventive care properly, that can actually help in addressing the large burden that is there on the healthcare sector to a large extent. Also, we need to utilize the technology, for example, telemedicine and digital health records, etc. They should be used very well. For example, the Telemanas facility, which has been provided to address the issues of the stress, etc. Also, that is digital health service that is being provided. Apart from that, the digital health record that are being maintained, they should be integrated well so that there is a seamless portability. Now, there has been a question that was asked in the prelims PY 2022, which was about the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. Consider the following statement. The first statement said that private and public hospital must adopt it. The second statement says that as it aims to achieve the universal health coverage, every citizen of India should be part of it ultimately, every citizen. And it has a seamless portability across the country. Now understand one thing, okay. First of all, I have seen that many people have confused it with Ayushman Bharat Mission only, and they forgot that there is a digital word written here. This is one kind of mistake that there are high chances that you people will do in the actual exam also. That you are in that pressure, in that hurry, you might not read the statement properly, you might not read every detail in the question properly. But please do this. In every exam or every mock test, you will see that these are some kind of silly mistake that you would be doing, that you haven't read the question very well. In this question, just see that it is saying that public and private hospital must adopt it. In all the PYQs that you will see, there is a one pattern that is generally visible, that if there is extreme statement, there are high chances that statement would be incorrect. So as per the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission also, this was a voluntary provision and this was not compulsory. Let's suppose there is a private hospital which is providing subsidized services to the persons. Now government cannot further create a burden. You'll have to ensure that you buy a laptop or computer and create a digital health ID of all the persons. Okay, that cannot be mandated for all the hospitals. So this was a voluntary provision and not the mandatory provisions. Similarly, it aims to achieve universal health coverage, but every India should be part of it. Ultimately, this was again voluntary. Okay, because some person may say, I don't want to create a health ID. I don't want to be the part of this. My privacy may be infringed. In that case, government cannot coerce that person. No, you'll have to make the health ID. So second statement was also incorrect. This was a voluntary option. So you can see the first and 2 only was given, that is incorrect, and 3 only is the correct option B. That is the correct answer in this particular question, and first and second is the incorrect option, and the option 2, that it has seamless portability across the country. Any hospital sitting in any part of one of the states can get the data of the patient in any of the other state. Any insurance company can also access to that data. So it will have a seamless portability across the country. So third statement was the only correct option and rest 2 was incorrect. And this is a mains practice question from this particular topic that you people can write. In our simplified section, first topic is what breaching 1.5 degrees Celsius actually means. And this has appeared in today's Indian Express, page number 14. And this particular topic is related to GS paper 3, environment, pollution and degradation. So the context of this topic is that year 2024 has now been confirmed as one such year which has breached the 1.5 degrees Celsius global warming threshold, and it becoming the first calendar year to do so. The annual average temperature of Earth's surface in 2024 was 1.6 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level, okay, which was the average of 1850 to 900 year time period. And this is the data according to Copernicus Climate Change Service run by the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting. So it said that 1.6 degrees Celsius was the temperature, but what we actually thought of in the Paris Climate Agreement, which came after COP21, is that we'll limit it to 2 degrees Celsius as compared to pre-industrial level, and our approach should be that try to keep it 1.5 degrees Celsius. There has been various other targets, for example, the peak greenhouse emissions before 2025 at the latest, and also to reduce the global greenhouse gas emissions by 43% by 2030. These were some other targets under the Paris Climate Agreement. Now, in this particular article which came in the Indian Express, there has been various reasons which can be attributed to this high rise in the temperature in the year 2024. So the first, the 2024 breach doesn't mean that 1.5 degree target is over. Okay, this target was mentioned in the 2015 Paris Agreement, and it actually refers to long-term temperature trends, usually over 2 to 3 decades, and not only to monthly or yearly average. That we should ensure that the average temperature over a decade is below 1.5 degrees Celsius, what it was at the pre-industrial level. Okay. But you have to see that global emissions are still on the rise, and the 2030 emission cut targets that are there, that is to cut the global greenhouse gas emissions by 43%. That seems to be almost certain that it will be missed. And there is every likelihood that the breach that happened in 2024 would become a norm within the next decade. That there are high chances that it would be followed. And also the year 2024 has now become the warmest year ever, taking over from 2023, which was 1.45 degrees Celsius warmer than the pre-industrial level. But you have to understand that this data is not even. There are different agencies which are calculating this data, and according to them there can be some discrepancy in this particular data. For example, the previous warmest year to 2016, which was 1.29 degrees Celsius warmer than pre-industrial level, was influenced by a very strong El Nino, a periodic oceanic phenomena in the Eastern Pacific Ocean that has impact on the global weather. And similarly, there was a El Nino which is prevailing during 2023-24, but it was mild as compared to the what it was in the 2015-2016. What does it mean? La Nina means the cooling of sea surface temperature in the central and the Eastern Pacific Ocean. Okay, this is the central and the Eastern Pacific Ocean. Here the cooling of the temperature will happen. Okay, often with opposite of the La Nina. Often with opposite of the El Nino. El Nino, it is the warming of sea surface temperature in the central and the Eastern Pacific Ocean. This is the central and the Eastern Pacific Ocean. When there will be warm water here, it will lead to change in the weather pattern. For example, it will influence the trade winds also. Okay, the warm water will appear here. This Chilean coast may get more rainfall, but the rainfall will be impacted here in the regions, Indian subcontinent, Indonesia, etc. These would be the reason, because when the warm water will appear here, there will be cold water appearing here, and that will be also impacting the winds there. And you know, whenever the warm water is there, they will help in evaporation, and the moisture laden winds will blow from sea to the land area, and that will bring rainfall to that area, and that will also help in cooling down of the temperature. So El Nino have an impact on the temperature also. When El Nino will happen, where will have a warming of the sea surface temperature in the central and the Eastern Pacific Ocean, leading to change in the global weather patterns and increased rainfall in some and droughts in some other regions. So that is all that would be impacted, and that will lead to an increased rainfall. Okay. And you have to again understand one thing, that this El Nino was not one of the reasons for the warming. There has been several other reasons that has been attributed for this rise in the temperature. For example, volcanic eruptions in some of the areas, right? Also, you have to see that another thing that is there in this particular news is that the unusual warming can be also attributed because of the cause of sun, which was in its solar maximum phase in 2024 during its routine 11-year solar cycle. During this cycle, the magnetic poles of sun flip from one end to another. What happens? Let's suppose this is a normal bar of magnet. It have north pole and it have a south pole. Similarly, there are magnetic pole in the sun also, which changes every 11 years. And due to this change in the magnetic poles, the solar flares and other things are also impacted, which may lead to a year of solar maximum when insolation will be very high on the Earth's surface, and that will lead to a warmer temperatures. Right, and the ECMWF said that increase in the solar energy which is reaching the earth during the solar maximum phase, that was the highest the solar energy was reaching, could have contributed to the warming of the earth also. Also, it said that the exceptional trends seen in 23-24 are unlikely to continue this year. As of now, 25 is now not expected to emerge as the warmest year, but it is unlikely to be the coolest also. We'll have to see various natural phenomena and the man-made phenomena like global greenhouse gas emissions, etc., at what level it is happening, to actually see what will be the actual trend of the warming of the Earth's surface as compared to the pre-industrial levels. Next topic is that the factory output growth hits 6 months high of 5.2% in November as per the government data. Okay, so who releases this IIP, or the Index of Industrial Production, that is the NSO, under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. And this particular topic relates with prelims, Indian economy, and syllabus of your GS paper 3, mobilization of resources. Now this has appeared in today's Indian Express newspaper, page number 50. It says that the India's factory output as measured by Index of Industrial Production rose to a 6 months high of 5.2% in November from 3.7% in October, mainly due to the favorable base effect along with the pickup in manufacturing capital goods and the consumer durables. What happens? What is the base effect? Let's suppose this was the level. Okay, now there has been sudden decrease in this level. So whenever we'll compare the increase from this level, it will always seem to a greater level. It will show that it is a much higher level as compared to this level. That is the base effect that is happening because of a lower growth rate in previous month, previous quarter, or in previous year. So because of this base effect, we are seeing a greater growth rate. It had grown by 2.5% in November 23 cumulatively so far in the financial year 24-25, and the industrial growth has been recorded at 4.1% during April to November, as against 6.5% in year ago. Manufacturing, which accounts for 77.6% of the weight of the IIP, surged to a 8-month high of 5.8%. And the mining output picked pace at 1.9% in November. Similarly, the electricity output grew by 4.4% in November. We'll have to see if this industrial index of industrial production, which is calculated, it has sectoral classification. Mining is given a weight of 14.4%, manufacturing is given a weight of 77.6%, and electricity have given a weight of 8%. Also, if you look into the use based classification, that how that particular components are being used by the industry or the people, it have the primary goods, which includes the coal, crude oil, natural gas, and petroleum products, etc. Then you have the capital goods, which have all the machineries like industrial machineries, textile machineries, all the electrical equipments like transformers, generators, etc. Then you have the intermediate goods, okay, like raw materials that are being used by the manufacturings, like iron, steel, aluminum, yarn, fabrics, etc. Then you have the infrastructure and the construction, all the construction materials like cement, etc. are part of that. Then you have the consumer durables, okay, these are the long lasting consumer goods like refrigerators, automobiles that are being used by the persons. Then you have the consumer non-durables, that everyday consumer goods, that foods, the beverages, etc. that are being used by the people. So it is an indicator that measures the growth rate over various industry groups in an economy over the time, and it is a composite index, meaning it combines the output of various industries, different industries, using weights that reflect their relative importance. As of now, for the IIP, manufacturing is of greater importance, that's why greater weightage has been given to them, and it is a key indicator of overall economic health, whether economy is in boom phase or is going in a recession phase. And based on the data that is coming out of IIP, the government can also plan their policies, whether they should be going for expansionary fiscal policy or contractionary fiscal policy, whether there is a specific need of any one particular sector that needs to be addressed. And it also shapes the monetary policy of the RBI, that whether they should cut down the rates or not. All that, this data can help in deciding all those things. It is published by NSO, and the frequency, it is typically released on a every month basis. Then our next topic is Advocate General of India, and this particular topic pertains to syllabus of your GS paper 2 Indian Constitution, and this has appeared in today's Indian Express page number 1. So the Advocate General of State has been provided under the Article 165 of the state, and Article 177 says that it provides for the rights of the Advocate General with respect to their participation in the functions, in the functioning of the houses and the committees also, without having right to vote in the house and the committees of the state legislatures or the state legislative councils, or the also, as per this article 165, every state should have Advocate General of India, and he is highest law officer in that particular state, chief legal advisor to the state in every matter, and the primary lawyer of the state government. They would be representing the state government in various forums like Supreme Court or the High Courts. Also, the appointment of Advocate General is done by the governor, and the qualification to become Advocate General is that he or she should be citizen of India, and he or she should be qualified to be a judge of a High Court. Also, the term of the Advocate General is not fixed, and removal, that it can be done. The office of the Advocate General is on the pleasure of President itself, and pleasure of governor itself. Okay, and the governor can remove the Advocate General at any point of time. Also, the resignation Advocate General can give to governor at any point of time. Also, generally it is a convention that whenever there is a particular government which has completed its term and now new government is coming, then the Advocate General also give his or her resignation, and then new Advocate General is appointed on the recommendation of the new Council of Ministers, and they are appointed by the governor. Okay, it is pleasure of governor and not pleasure of president. This is not written correctly here. Okay, then we have the last topic, okay, that is about the International Criminal Court. Second last topic, that is about the International Criminal Court, and this has appeared in today's GS Indian Express, page number 16. This relates to GS paper 2, important international institutions. Okay, so the US House of Representatives voted on Thursday to sanction the International Criminal Court in protest at arrest warrants that has been issued by the International Criminal Court for the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former defense chief over the war in the Gaza. What is happening, as we have the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, similarly the US also have two houses, US House of Representatives and US House of Commons, and they have voted to sanction the International Criminal Court, which was established in year 2002, and it is not part of the UN, whereas the International Court of Justice, that is ICJ, established in year 1945, and that is the highest court of UN, and location of the ICJ is The Hague, Netherlands, and same is the headquarters of the International Criminal Court. Jurisdiction is generally, ICJ's jurisdiction is limited to the UN member states, whereas the International Criminal Court jurisdiction, that they can also prosecute the individuals. The type of disputes, legal disputes between states and request for the advisory opinions on the legal questions. Okay, these are the cases that can be taken by the International Court of Justice. Whereas the International Criminal Court also prosecute the individuals for the most serious crimes which has been provided by the Rome Statute. For example, crime against humanity. If there is a person who has committed that he have went for war and that led to lot of death of various person, and this Rome Statute actually provided for the establishment of this International Criminal Court, and notably India, US and China are not part of this Rome Statute. Also, the appeals in the ICJ rulings are not, there are no appeals, and in the case of International Criminal Court there are appeals that can be done. Also, the judges who are part of this International Criminal Court as well as the International Court of Justice, interestingly, they have a term of 9 years. The last topic is related to the types of bail, and this is related to GS paper 2, Fundamental Rights and Judiciary, and this has appeared in today's Indian Express, page number 4, as well as there is an article on page number 5. So what does this bail mean? Bail is a term which is originated from an old French verb bailer, which means to give or to deliver. The CRPC, which has now BNSS, has taken the place of CRPC, Criminal Procedure Code, and now this Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Samhita has came in place of CRPC. It empowers the magistrate to grant bail for the bailable offence as a matter of right. Bailable offence are those offences which are less serious in nature. For example, let's suppose someone has said anything to someone. So that can be a bailable offence where bail can be given to that person as a matter of right. Okay, and the non-bailable offences, magistrate would determine if the accused is fit to be released on bail or not, whether he will run away, whether he will cause further harm to the society or not. That is checked. Also, the non-bailable offences are cognizable offences, means it enables the police officers to arrest the persons who without any warrant, whereas in the case of non-cognizable offence, there is a court warrant which is needed to arrest that person. The BNSS provides for 3 kinds of bail. Regular bail, where the court orders the release of a person who is under arrest from police custody after paying the bail money. The application of regular bail under section 437 and 439 of CRPC, which has now changed to 480 and 483 of BNSS. The interim bail, which is ordered by the court to provide temporary and the short-term bail to the accused until his regular bail. This was the regular bail, or the anticipatory bail application is pending before the court. That short-term relief is there. Anyone cannot live for only with the help of interim bail. That is a short-term measure. Then the anticipatory bail is there, that if there is a person who is under the apprehension of arrest for a non-bailable offence, may apply for anticipatory bail to the High Court or the Court of of session under the section 438 of CRPC, which has now changed to 482 of BNSS. That if there is a person who think that tomorrow police may come and the police may arrest that person, he may approach the court with a petition for the anticipatory bail, that he or she might be arrested, please give him the anticipatory bail, and that will save him from the arrest. That was all from today's analyst. Thank you very much. All the very best. Take care.